Welcome to Links and Locks Action Network's golf betting podcast presented by Bet365. I'm your host, Andy Wack, and I'll be joined alongside Action Golf contributor Tony Sartori for these Best Bets episodes. Tony and I will play 18 holes today, giving our 18 favorite picks for this week's tour event, the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Before we dive into this week's episode, a reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day, they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for the biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Okay, Tony, we're on the first tee here for our Rocket Mortgage Classic Best Bets. Get us started.
All right, so I'm going to start out with Maverick McNealy at 30-1. He's been trending upward. He just finished 23rd at the PGA Championship, or about a month and a half ago he did that, and then he has continued to improve since then. He finished 17th at the Charles Schwab and then 7th at the RBC Canadian Open. So what has caused this upswing in performance? His driving accuracy. That's always been like the one thing that he's not routinely figured out. We know he's a brilliant he's great. His short game is brilliant. It's always just been kind of the driving accuracy that's kind of held him back, but he has been more accurate than the field off the tee in 4 consecutive tournaments now, which obviously is correlated to this huge upswing in performance. So if he's got the accuracy off the tee figured out, there's just really nothing to dislike about his game, which gives him a really high floor, which is why I like him in this watered down field, especially at 30-1. So he finished 8th here in 2020 and 21st in 2021. So he can score here. His game is training the right direction, and there's really no flaws if that accuracy is figured out. So that's my first target at 30-1.
I'll make it short and sweet. That was my first bet as well. Mav McNealy, 30-1. I believe you can still find the 30 enhanced at Bet365. Just to add on a little bit to what you said, I think Detroit Golf Club, probably the most extreme definition of a putting contest that we'll see all year on the PGA Tour. I mean, we're talking 73% greens and regulation percentage. There has historically been like no real precedent for being able to contend at this course without gaining at least 3 strokes putting. And my number suggests that Matt McNealy is, pound for pound, one of the best putters in this entire field. He is somebody that I feel completely comfortable going to battle with in a putting contest. He's one of the best on this surface. He's had a lot of success on these greens in the past. He's deadly inside 15 feet. So Matt McNealy, 30-1. Let's do it this week.
Absolutely. And then my next target is going to be just barely down the odds board, 35-1, and that's Davis Thompson. So Thompson, he just performed brilliantly at the U.S. Open, which of course was contested at Pinehurst #2, another Donald Ross design. A little different than the type of Ross design we're going to see this week, but either way, that definitely can't hurt him. Thompson finished 9th there, but what I particularly liked about him was how well his all-around game was. He gained true strokes in every single category across the board, while also gaining distance and accuracy off the tee against the field. He's now made the weekend in 8 of his past 10 tournaments, finishing inside the top 27 in 7 of those 8 events. So, I mean, he's got great form, and this can definitely continue at Detroit Golf Club. He was the first round leader here in 2021. He shot a 63, and he also finished 24th here last year. So he's shown success at this course. He's in great form. I mean, if he can finish 9th at Pinehurst against that type of field, he absolutely can take this field down at 35-1.
Yeah, I promise there were no sharing of notes before the episode, but I'm on Davis Thompson as well at 40-1. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief again, just to echo some of the things that you said and add on a little bit of my own spin on that. He finished top 10 at Pinehurst, which I know is a very different style of golf that he's going to have this week, but there's no way to fake your way around that golf course. And I like that Davis Thompson is showing it on all different types of setups. Like I think he's just a player, highly touted amateur out of the University of Alabama. He's had success, like I mentioned, at golf courses like Pinehurst. He finished runner-up at Myrtle Beach, a 17th at Colonial. He's got a number of top 20s already this season. He has the ability with his irons and his putter to spike in both of those categories. I think that is the most important thing you want to look at this week. Can this player get hot on the greens? Can this player stick a bunch of short iron shots in close? That's what you got to do at Detroit Golf Club. I think Davis Thompson checks both of those boxes for me, and he is ready, primed for a breakout for his first PGA Tour win.
Yeah, I had a feeling we're gonna have some similarities this week because I feel like Detroit Golf Club, the secret's kind of out on how to handicap Detroit. So I'm curious to see how many we end up having in common. But my next guy is at the same odds, and that's Aaron Rai at 35-1. This is a guy who we've talked about a lot on this show, and he's in great form with 6 straight weekend appearances. He boasts 4 top 25 finishes over that stretch. He's trying to close down that first tour victory, and I could see that happening at Detroit Golf Club. He finished 9th here last year. And he was actually in 4th. He's tied for 4th, 3 shots off the lead entering Sunday. Perhaps things would have shaken up differently if it wasn't his first time playing. Last year was his first time playing here. I think maybe Sunday wouldn't have got to him as hard last year if it had not been his first weekend at Detroit. Now he's got 4 rounds under his belt, 4 pretty damn good rounds under his belt. So at 35-1, Aaron Rai, I think, can take down this field.
I guess I'll give us our first deviation here and roll with Matt Wallace, 60-1 enhanced. I just love the way that Matt Wallace is playing. He has kind of the perfect mix of skill set that I'm looking for this week. Course history, he's got 2 top 12s and 3 appearances at Detroit Golf Club. And recent form, he's coming off of 15th at the KLM Open. He also played well recently at the Canadian Open. I think there's some similarities to that golf course in terms of the agronomy, the length of the golf course, the high plurality of short iron approach shots, the bent grass greens, the tree lined parklands, thicker, rough nature of that. Those are the types of golf courses that Wallace has historically had a lot of success at in the past. A lot of some of his best results on the DP World Tour have come on this kind of sort of style of golf courses as well. These tree-lined parklands, easier scoring golf courses. So Matt Wallace, 60-1 enhanced would be my third outright selection.
I appreciate you trying to deviate us, but it's not going to last too long. So I do have Matt Wallace top 10 at 6-1. He isn't the best golfer around, obviously, but he's still a tour winner, and he's capable, like you said, he's very capable of not only winning, but at least posting top 10 finishes. He just did so at the Byron Nelson at the beginning of May, and he also finished 10th here in 2022. So he clearly has the ability to compete here. You were talking about his recent form, which I also love. That was actually my main reason for targeting him. He's gained true total strokes in 5 straight tournaments, and just ride the hot hand at that point, especially, again, we keep talking about this is a pretty watered down field. So if you're coming in that good form and you're a good ball striker and you're able to kind of muster your way at least towards the top 10, then I think a number like 6-1 on a guy like Matt Wallace is worth taking.
Love that. I'll take us back into the top 10 market as well and go with Keith Mitchell. Plus 400 top 10 on Bet365. I considered an outright on Keith Mitchell. I just don't trust him to make enough putts to win this golf tournament. With that being said, what Mitchell has done from a ball striking perspective this season cannot go understated. He has quietly developed into one of the best long iron players in this entire field. And there are a couple really high leverage long iron shots on this golf course. 3 of the 4 par 5s are reachable. 2 of the 4 par 3s as well are from over 200 yards as well. And he's great inside 100 yards. He's got a ton of power off the tee that he's going to be able to take that approach that we've seen Bryson take here, that we've seen Matt Wolff take here, that we've seen Taylor Pendrith take here, that we've seen Cameron Young take here, where you can just bomb driver on this golf course with reckless abandon and give yourself a bunch of wedge shots. So even if Mitchell isn't going to give you that +3, +4, +5 spike putting performance, I think his floor is so high based on the way that he drives the ball that he could kind of sleepwalk his way into a top 10 for us, hopefully this week.
And that's going to be a good transition because you just mentioned a guy who I am choosing for my final outright winner, and that is Taylor Pendrith at 45-1. So I was just talking about Rai's performance here last year, and a similar story unfolded with Pendrith. He was in solo third entering Sunday, just 2 shots back of Ricky before he had kind of melted on Sunday. But that's not going to deter me from targeting him at 45-1 this year. He's 2 for 2 at Detroit Golf Club in terms of great performances, because not only did he finish runner-up, not only did he have that performance last year, but he also finished runner-up here in his first appearance the year prior. So, and then when you add in his recent form, I think Pendrith is just a good target this week. He's made the weekend in 8 of his past 9 tournaments, 7 top 23 finishes over that stretch, including he just won at the Byron Nelson. And that was a tougher field than what he will see this week. So Taylor Pendrith at 45-1 is my final outright play this week.
Yeah, my next play is Taylor Pendrith's top 10. It seems like there's only like 5 guys in this field that we have any actual interest in, which
Yeah.
makes sense given the lack of depth once you start getting deeper into this field. But yeah, I agree. He's played great at this golf course. He's got the exact type of skill set that I'm looking for. Pendrith has quietly emerged into one of the best putters on tour, and I don't think it's a surprise that he's had so much success in these driver putter tournaments. Like if you think about TPC Craig Ranch, the tournament that he won earlier this year at the Byron Nelson, very similar to Detroit Golf Club. Some high leverage, long iron shots, very high greens and regulation percentage, driver on every hole. Hope you can make enough putts. Taylor Pendrith wins that tournament. He's played well at Detroit as well. I think he's one of the safer bets in this field based on course fit, recent form, course history. I think you do a lot worse than a Taylor Pendrith, penciling him in for a strong performance this week in Detroit.
Absolutely. And I'm going to return to the top 10 market and a little bit, English, a little bit of a dart throw here, but Daniel Berger top 10 at 8-1. Will Berger ever return to the player he once was prior to injury? Probably not, but he's starting to trend in the right direction. He just finished 21st at the US Open. Again, Ross design, much tougher field. He has now made the weekend in 4 of his past 5 tournaments, gaining true total strokes in all 4 of those made cuts. Furthermore, Berger has fared incredibly well on Ross designs, especially like East Lake. And I think East Lake is probably more comparable to what we will see this week than Pinehurst is. But he's never finished lower than 15th in each of his past 5 appearances at East Lake. He clearly likes Ross designs, and he likes ones that you can score on. You can score at East Lake, and you can absolutely, obviously, score here. And just so, given how much Berger has improved since returning from injury over the past couple of months compared to where he was at the beginning of the season, I just think that if he does get to kind of where he was prior to that back injury, we're never going to see a number like 8-1 for him to finish top 10 against a field like this. So it's more of a play on the number than anything else, but Berger top 10 at 8-1.
I'm going to take us into the top 20 market and go with Thorbjorn Olesen, top 20 plus 320. I just think this is a great number on a player with a bunch of upside. He's already won this season on the DP World Tour. In his most recent appearance on the PGA Tour, he finished top 30 at the Canadian Open, as I mentioned. Somewhat similar golf course in a lot of ways, and I was mostly encouraged by the way that he did it. He gained over 3.5 on approach and gained over 3.5 with his putter. That's the formula that I'm looking for at Detroit Golf Club. Hit your irons close, make a bunch of putts inside 15 feet. Do you have that upside? Thorbjorn Olesen has shown us before that he has plus 320 on a top 20. That is a great number on a player that I think has real ability to win this golf tournament. So give me Thorbjorn Olesen for another strong performance in Detroit.
Love that play. I'm gonna go to the first round leader market, and the first guy I'm gonna target is Tom Kim at 33-1. He is the chalk of the tournament. This is just a way for me to be invested in some way. I don't like his number at all at 14-1 to win. But if you want a way to target him, then you can get his first round leader at 33-1, which that's just much more playable in my opinion. But regardless, it makes sense why Kim is the favorite here. His ceiling is pretty much by far the highest of the field. He just took Sky to a playoff last week in Connecticut. What I particularly liked about Kim last week is that and he said it himself, he could not have played any better. There's a couple of putts he probably left out there over the weekend. But besides, he played a beautiful brand of golf. Just he got Scottied, and that's happened to pretty much everyone this year. But that doesn't take away from how well Tom Kim played last week. And if he brings even 80% of that game to Detroit Golf Club this week, he will have no issue succeeding. So at 33-1, Tom Kim is my first round leader play.
Love that play. I'll finish this off with one more in the first round later market at the end. That's a bit more of a long shot, but I'm a stick in the top 20 and go with Chandler Phillips plus 400, top 20. Listen, I love the way that he's playing, and I talked about this with Olesen. I'm looking for guys that can spike on approach and with the flat stick at Detroit Golf Club. That has historically been the formula here. You look at what Phillips has been up to, 2 top 12 finishes in a row, both on bent grass courses, both on shorter golf courses, Hamilton and Colonial. He had great, the reason why he finished top 12 at both those courses, all approach play and putting. If we get anything similar to what we've seen from Phillips in his last 2 starts at those kind of similar shorter bentgrass golf courses that he was able to take advantage of with his irons and his putter, I think he might be able to do even a little bit better than a top 20. But plus 400 just felt super tasty on a player that's kind of doing exactly what I'm looking for this week.
I love that. I actually have him as a long shot in a couple of my DFS lineups this week. I really like that play. I'm gonna go back to the first round leader market. I'm gonna go after Minwoo Lee at 45-1. Until he proves that he can win on tour, and he absolutely will eventually. There's no doubt in my mind. But until he does so, I just trust him right now in the first round leader market than I do the outright market. Either way, I think he can not only win this tournament, but he can definitely at least go low on Thursday. He's made the weekend in 5 straight tournaments. 3 of those were major championships. He's not finished lower than 26 during this run. Those fields, obviously, I keep highlighting on this, were so much tougher than what he's going to compete against this week. So there's no doubt in my mind that on paper, he can lead after any of the rounds and he can win this tournament. But at 45-1 and that type of ceiling, that's where I'm going to go for the first round leader market on Minwoo Lee.
Love that. I'm going to give us one more top 20 and then finish this off with a first round later long shot. I'm going to go with Justin Lauer plus 500 top 20. Listen, I've waxed poetically already about the approach play and putting. Lauer's another one of those guys that checks the box way more with his putter than his approach play. He's a good iron player, but he is an elite putter. He's played well at Detroit Golf Club in the past. I thought 5-1 on a top 20 was just a big number on a player that has shown a lot of top 10 upside in some of these easier scoring golf courses. So Justin Lauer, top 20 plus 500 at Detroit Golf Club. He's one of the more trustable putters in this entire field.
Yeah, absolutely. Then my final play is another first round leader, and that's going to be Alex Noren at 55-1. I just talked about Minwoo Lee's ceiling in the previous section. I'm now going to go in the opposite direction in the sense that I believe Noren possesses one of the highest floors in this field. He's somehow never won on tour, but that doesn't mean he's one of its better players. Obviously, he spent so much time over in Europe before he came over to tour, and he won multiple times over there. But either way, he's made the weekend in 18 of his past 20 tournaments, posting 13 top 25 finishes over that stretch. Again, he has not won, which is why I just kind of trust him more right now in the first round leader market than I do the outright one. But this is also a guy who's finished inside the top 9 each of his past 2 appearances here. With that high of a floor and a good course history, I just think there's worse dart throws to make than Noren to lead after Thursday at 55-1.
I will finish this off in the first round later market with SH Kim 80-1. First round later, the criteria that I'm looking for: are you a great putter? Do you perform well in the first round of tournaments? Do you get off to hot starts? SH Kim in this entire field over the last year, he's top 10 in strokes gained in the first round. He's one of the best putters in this entire field. If you're just looking for a dart throw on a guy that can gain 5 strokes putting in a round and throw up a 62 or 63, I think you could do a lot worse than SH Kim at 80-1. That'll do it for our best bets for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Before we get out of here, final reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else every day. They power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. As a reminder, our action experts Spencer Aguiar and Nick Bretwish return with host Roberto Arguello tomorrow for our Rocket Mortgage betting preview right here on the Links and Locks podcast. So for Tony Sartori, I'm your host, Andy Lack, and we'll see you back here next week on the Links and Locks podcast presented by Bet365.